Okay guys, so DRG7 is sketching and rendering. The easiest topic of them all. Why? Because where you have the sketching, you have the shapes. And then you have the boxes attached to them, empty boxes. And all you're gonna do is through freehand method, you're gonna recreate those figures by simple sketching. This topic, DRG7, does not include any equipment at all except for your pencil and your rubber, because it's all sketching or rendering. I'll tell you what those are. So where you have the sketching, where you have the empty boxes, all you're gonna do is redraw the images, resketch them. Where you have rendering, coloring, because rendering includes coloring or shading. So right now we're talking about rendering, but the coloring. You have shapes that are not necessarily these. And you have to include color. Just color them any way you like, but color them fully and neatly. Try to stay within the line. So you have these, and then you have rendering, which is shading. So over here, you're gonna write down what is shading. And I'm gonna show you the the 5 shading techniques we have for this year. We have that which is hatching. Hatching is when you go through lines like these. And you see how close or how near you want to make them. But straight lines all going in the same direction. We have cross-hatching, which are 2 different lines going into different directions, but through each other, like this, and or like this. So these are literally any way you want. As long as then you stick to the directions you have. You can only have 2 directions. Any 2 directions you want, but then those which you've picked, you have to stay with. We have circularism, which goes like this, just like you're creating circles. And you make them as near or as far as you want. We have contouring, which is when you go with the direction of the figure you have. When you go with the direction of the figure you have. And then again, you leave them as far away or as near as you want. And finally, we have stippling. Stippling is when you create little dots like this. Like this, see? And you make them as far or as apart as you want. They're literally dots. Try not to make a lot of sound like this though, because you're gonna make yourself go crazy. In here we have rendering and shading, the second part. Here is where I want you to pick any shading technique you want. So look, apply a different shading technique to each of the images below. So you're gonna pick 4 out of the 5 shading techniques and apply them to the figures below. Now, obviously, as is shading in reality, the whole item isn't shaded, the whole figure isn't shaded, so pick ideal parts where to shade.